Just to want to help and spend time with the mountain goat kids, but it looks like they are getting closer and closer. And the mountain goat kids, you can see, they had quite a fun time earlier today because they're quite dirty. They're commonly seen rolling around and running through the wetlands.
Just like regular kids.
Just like regular kids, exactly right.
How old are they?
They were born last season, so they are approaching a year old.
Wow.
There's a lot of bison around here.
Yes, there's a lot of bison. We have about 20 bison total out here in the free roaming area.
Wow.
Definitely a special treat to see the bison in the wetlands, and then of course those mountain goat kids. They were released out here November 13th, and they've adjusted really well. They were actually found orphaned out in the wild without their mothers, so that's how they ended up here. They're not biologically related, but they have adopted each other as siblings out here. Adoptive siblings. Great view of our bison. You may also know them as buffalo. There's a lot of confusion with their name. When the first explorers came out here, they noticed how similar the bison looked to the water buffalo and Cape buffalo of Africa and Asia, so he originally called these animals buffalo. It wasn't until later research showed that these animals are genetically and skeletally different, so then they rechanged the name from buffalo to bison, confusing all of us. So if you call them a buffalo, we know what you mean, but technically they are called a bison. And it's bull bison off to the right-hand side, a little bit closer to the tram, and then we'll also have some more closer to the left. So the bison, America's largest land mammal by weight. Anyone have any guesses how much an adult bison bull can weigh?
Oh, look.
700
To the left.
700 pounds. Good guess.
1,000.
You can see all the fur to attach to the tree.
1,200.
1,200. 17,000. They can weigh upwards of about 3,000 pounds.
Wow.
So that's about the size of a small car. Pretty impressive.
Wow.
You're 4,000. The cow bison, the girls, they're normally weighing around 1,800 pounds. And you can see a lot of the birds, they're actually perched along the backs of the bison. They have what's called a symbiotic or a mutualistic relationship, where they just benefit from one another. This time of year, the bison are preparing for summertime, so they've got those shaggy looking haircuts going on, shedding their winter coats off. Well, this time of year, the birds are nesting, so they'll be landing on the backs of the bison or the elk, which we'll get a chance to see also off to the right as we make our way through the meadows. And so the birds are helping the bison get ready for summertime, and that's how it helps the bison. And the birds, they'll actually use that fur to build a nice warm nest. So they both have a nice benefit to one another. That's another way you can help out some of your own backyard birds. If you have pets at home, you can use pet fur, put that in a basket, put it in an old bird feeder. And that's a great way to help out some of your local backyard birds. If you don't have pets and you would like to do something like that, dryer lint works just as well. Great view of our cow elk, it looks like off to our right. A little bit closer towards that forest cover, approaching my 3 o'clock. We may, I'm hoping, get a different angle of them. We're going to be making our way into the forest habitat next. They may actually be in a great location where we can see them a little bit closer in about just a couple more minutes here, actually. Last remaining views of our bison.
Bye-bye.
The bison, they definitely have a rich history out here. They used to be the most numerous land mammal. Yeah, we'll see more elk off to the right. There used to be about 60 million bison roaming around the plains. Unfortunately, though, after the Civil War, the United States government, they decided that in an effort to try to subdue some of the Native Americans relying on the bison to survive, that they were going to eliminate the bison. So, in only a matter of a few years, the bison number went from 60 million to only a few hundred isolated individuals. Yeah, lots of deer off to our left, too. See, the stinging nettle doesn't bother them. She's laying right in it.
My phone's dying.
They're in front of us.
Yeah, okay.
So even though we almost lost the bison to extinction, to me the bison really symbolize hope because we have successfully restored the bison to about 500,000 bison back out into our landscapes. And we now have about 6,000 wild bison roaming free. So a lot of good community work and conservation practices helped restore the bison. Yeah, good observation. Lots of antlers on the ground, especially up to the right-hand side, but keep your eyes too off to the left. It's a great place to look for those antler sheds. And we'll have elk on both sides of the tram. Awesome. And you can see one of our calves that was born last year. They're just about ready to be called a yearling. Actually, there are two that are standing up on both sides of the tram. Those are our calves from last season, and also one bedded down right in front of the stump. We had 7 born out here this last year, so they're just slightly smaller than the adults, a little bit shorter. This is the cow elk herd, so primarily all of the girls. With the exception of a few teenager boys, you can see some of the younger boys. We've got one coming up to the right. He still has his antler stubs from last season.
Is that a tag in his ear?
Yeah, so someone asked if there was a tag in their ear. Yes, a lot of animals have those ear tags. That's just a great way for the keepers, the vets, and the naturalists to all communicate with one another. So if there's an elk out here and we're out on tour, we notice maybe it's limping or sustained an injury, I can always call the keepers and say the elk with the right red ear tag is limping, and then they'll know